I came across this webinar that John Jonas put out, and he was talking about how you could hire a VA in the Philippines and he's going to save you time. And I was like, I need time.
What's up, guys? This is John Jonas, and today we have a really cool case study for you. And it's cool because Paul has like 90 or 100 Filipino VAs working for him, which is super different than most of our customers, than most people we have. So he started SEO Works, which is a full-service internet marketing company, in 2013. When he started, he was working 80 hours a week, like most of us, doing everything: keyword research, content creation, pay-per-click. He was doing everything. Since then, he's grown to over 35 local people, and he's based in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is super close to me, actually. And he has 90 specialists in the Philippines. This is going to be really cool. In his case study, Paul shares his method of finding really good workers, which obviously he's really good at it. He's done it 100 times. So let's get on to it.
Hey, it's Shalane with Onlinejobs.ph, and today we have Paul Staten from SEO Works. That's WERKZ, right?
Yep, that's right.
Paul, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay, so we want to hear more about SEO Works.
We started May of 2013, so it's been a little over 8 years now. And before this, I worked in marketing and advertising. I actually worked at the Yellow Pages for a while, which was fun, and moved to a pay-per-click company doing internet marketing. And then we fulfilled for an SEO company, and I've come to find out that they were not the best SEO company. They kind of charged people and didn't do much. So it really was this inspiration of, we could do better. We can be an awesome SEO company. So that's really what we set out to do. So my co-owner and we quit our jobs. We dove in. So we were founded on these three principles: be transparent, get results, and earn loyalty. Being transparent, we don't believe that SEO is a black box that our clients don't know what's going on. So all of our proposals and our workload is very transparent. And getting results, we want to point to ROI, return on investment, as soon as possible, because that's where we earn loyalty. And that's our third principle. And we don't have any long-term contracts. All of our agreements are month to month. So we've been able to, with those three principles, build our company to what it is today. And we grew from, just us two quitting our jobs and going for it to 35 people in our office in Riverton, Utah, in Salt Lake City. And then in the Philippines, we have a little over 90 people down there. So
wait. 90.
Yeah, 90. Yep. So so it's been an awesome ride. But that's SEO Works in a nutshell. So we've been able to grow to what we are today, and thanks to a webinar that John Jonas did a long time ago. So
how long did it take to accumulate 90 workers and train and get them into a functional point?
When I started SEO Works, I was working my 80-hour work weeks, right? Like I was just working all day long, every day, and doing everything: the keyword research, the reports, the emails, the correspondence, the PPC campaigns, just everything. I was doing everything except for the web dev, which my partner handled. And I came across this webinar that John Jonas put out, and he was talking about how you could hire a VA in the Philippines and he's going to save you time. And I was like, I need time. So so I signed up. I did a post on there for a kind of brainstorm and said, okay, what could a Filipino do for me? What could I offload? Keyword research, doing reports, creating draft emails for me, some listing management tasks. So some of those things were things that I listed, and I still remember I posted that job. I got a bunch of applicants. I ended up hiring this Filipino. His name was Mario, and he worked for me at that point, and he saved me 10 to 15 hours a week, and he cost me $320 a month. And I thought, okay, this is awesome. Like, this is a great partnership, because Mario was very excited. And this was 8 years ago. So we hire Filipinos for much more now, on a monthly basis. But we were starting out. We had no capital, no investment company coming to help us build our company. So really everything that we were taking to pay for a Filipino was out of our own pocket. So anyway, that was the beautiful start of us with utilizing Onlinejobs.ph, and it worked
What is your process? You've obviously hired a lot of
a lot.
Filipino VAs.
Right.
Is it primarily on Onlinejobs.ph?
When I first did that, I started hiring my own Filipinos. I hired a PPC manager that is still with me today. She is, I think, my oldest employee that I have at SEO Works. And then I started hiring different people for different things. Eventually, I did form a partnership with a software company down in the Philippines, and they started taking care of having people in an office and some of the hiring and all that has to take care of, taxes, and anyway, all those things they helped out with down there. So that's really where we were able to continue to scale a team that is content writing, link building. Some of the devs are on that team, but I still actually utilize Onlinejobs.ph to this day to hire very specialized workers to do very specific things. I just hired another one that is specifically helping with a reputation management project just recently, like within the past month. And we just hired 2 months ago another developer that is specifically helping with QA tasks on websites, and went through a wonderful interview process for that. Before that, we just hired another one that was, doing blogs specifically. So I guess, okay, so to dive into that question of how we utilize Onlinejobs.ph and how I've had some really good success with that, because I've also gone through all of the times where you think you have a good connection and then they just ghost you, or it's like, I thought they were so good, or you hire them and then they kind of don't do the work that you expect, and then you kind of fall out. Anyway, been through all of that. My most efficient process that I've used to hire with Onlinejobs.ph is I'll create a job posting, try to have the job really mapped out, like these are the tasks that need to get done, A, B, C, D. This is the expected time that I think it's going to take someone to do this, get it posted. And thankfully, there's a lot of users on Onlinejobs.ph. So post the job. Thankfully, there's a lot of users there. So you get a lot of applications, a lot of applicants. And my process for hiring is first, I will get them on Skype and I will have a chat conversation. And I have some very specific questions that I have come up with that I feel like give me the answers to some of the questions as far as what kind of worker they are, how they like to be managed. Because with these types of relationships, a lot of times, and I feel like I'm probably in the same boat with 99% of users on Onlinejobs.ph, that they really want somebody that they can just assign the tasks to, and then they will take it and run with it, and just
self-starters.
Just do it. Self-starters, very efficient, lots of autonomy. So some of the questions that I've come up with are just kind of point to that, and I think give me a good hint. The other reason I start out with a chat first is to gauge their English. Because and there are different jobs that I've hired for. Some I don't care at all with how their English is, and others I do. Their applications will always have perfect English because they've been able to, have a friend look over it, have a translator look over it. Their resumes are going to be perfect English all the time. That chat is very important to have, and you can gauge their written English, which in my opinion, is more important than the spoken. It's
Okay.
a typing chat on purpose because I'm a very busy person, as I'm sure all listeners here are as well. And I don't have a ton of time to do all of these, Skype chats. And I try to be a very nice guy. So I have a hard time saying, oh, I'm so sorry, it's not going to work out. But if I'm doing these chats and I can gauge their responses, I can quickly qualify or disqualify and get through that process. And if I just dedicate an hour of my time in the morning, usually around like 6 a.m. is when you'll have really good response times from some of these workers. And anyway, I'll have multiple chats open, have all these questions going, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and just kind of watch their responses, and then have like a little, oh, thanks so much for that. That's great. Boom, copy paste. Here's your next question. So that helps me narrow down to the people that I do want to have calls with. And then I'll hopefully have 2 or 3 that I have a call with that, I can jive well with, and then I agree and move forward.
Amazing. Can you tell us what are the qualities that you've found that make the best VAs?
So qualities, obviously we touched on them earlier. Self-starters, self-sufficient, very, very good with autonomy, very good with task management, just organized. And one other thing that I feel is very important is not afraid to ask questions. In some of my questions, I make sure and ask, what if there's a task that you don't completely understand? What do you do? Because some of them will answer and say, well, I Google it, and then I try to figure it out. And others will say, well, I really will ask you, how you want it done. And you really do want, that, because the better you can have that interaction, and you do have to dedicate time at first. You have to dedicate the time to help train. But once you have them trained, they're so good, and they will just perform when you hire them at first, here's their performance level, and then you start that training process and they just get better and better and better. And then they're just perfect. And they're so loyal, and they just never want to rock the boat, and they're so polite and nice and good. Anyway, so
can you tell us about your training process?
Yeah, so the training process will be centered around the individual job that they're hired for. So occasionally, for example, if I hire somebody that's on the dev side, I'll hand them over to my dev team, and then we'll kind of go through that those tasks. Personally, if I'm training them, I am always recording videos. Recording videos for the Filipinos it's so perfect, because they not all the time will understand 100%. Actually, just to relate this story, that we just hired someone, and when I got on the call and I was training her on the call, there were these like pauses, and she wasn't quite getting it, and I was like asking questions like, did I explain that a good way? Like, did that come through okay to how to do this? And anyway, come to find out, she actually had a hearing impediment. So she was having a really hard time understanding me and hearing me. And so recording videos for her, and anyway, it's been phenomenal. So I would suggest recording videos instead of thinking to yourself, okay, I'll just walk them through it. Recording a video where they can go back and rewatch it until they get it perfect. With whatever task you want them to do. Very, very useful. So, so that's been really useful for me.
What does it look like managing that magnitude of Filipino VAs or remote workers in general?
So with me, I have 2 instances, right? One is the software company we partnered with, and they manage that way, right? Okay. But specifically applying to Onlinejobs.ph and how we manage individually, I often will assign them to one of our internal people, whether that's one of our Filipinos in the Philippines or one of our team members that's here local. So yeah, they'll just be in charge of them individually and be able to take care of the job that they were assigned to or hired to do.
So how many people do you have working with you locally? You mentioned you've got a co-owner.
So we have 35 people in our office here locally. PPC managers in the Philippines that report to the PPC manager. We have SEO technicians and link builders that report directly to our SEO team. We have content people that are reporting directly to my content manager. We have the development or the developer that is working on the QA tasks that reports directly to our lead developer. And all of those that I just mentioned were hired through Onlinejobs.ph.
With the broad spectrum of positions that you have filled through Onlinejobs.ph, is there anything you've found over the years, positions that you feel like Filipino workers really fill in a great capacity?
We have had a good amount of really good people that do a lot of things. So that is such a hard question to answer because I feel like we have an amazing pay-per-click manager for that. That's one that has been with me for 7 years. We have an amazing Facebook ads manager that we hired last year. We have developers that are amazing. We have content people that are amazing. We have SEO technicians that are amazing. Man, if I don't know, I don't know that there's a specific one that I would say they're, content, like they're really good with content or something like that. Just because whenever I'm posting a job with, Onlinejobs.ph, I'm looking for a very specific talent and there's just always a good fit for that specific talent. So
we sure love to hear that.
I wish I had a better answer. I feel like no, like I've just found really good and maybe if I think of the inverse of the question, like what have you found they don't do well?
That doesn't work out. Let's try that. Is there anything that you've done or that you've hired for where things haven't worked out the way that you'd hoped?
I think
and even better if you can't come up with an answer for it, right? That's great news.
First thing that comes to my mind is content, but that's mainly because, and I don't want to generalize and say like, well, we just have had some flaky applicants, right? Like we give them assignments and then they just don't show up, or they realize, oh, I really don't want to do this, so they just ghost us or something like that. We've had some of those experiences, but then it's just like quick, all right, let's find somebody that does, type of thing. I feel like we've we've filled the jobs that we have needed with some really great talent for all the spectrum, all the things that we've hired for. So
what do you, if you could kind of guesstimate what your hiring success rate is with Onlinejobs.ph?
With the process that I've kind of come up with now that has worked much, much better than what it's been in the past. I mean, I would even say we're successful 75% of the time. I mean, I would almost say every job that we post, we eventually find someone that can fill that position, which would be 100% success rate, right? But I'm discounting. I'm saying, okay, well, there are some that we've hired and then do disappear and don't don't work out. But I mean, it's probably greater than 75%. 3 out of 4 postings that we have or hirings that we do stick around and do well. So
would you be willing to share any of those questions that you've come up with?
One of the first questions I ask is, what do you enjoy most about working as a developer or working as a content manager or working as a pay-per-click manager? And so then they get into what they like about that position, and you can really tell a lot of times if they do like it or if they are just applying to try and get a job, right? Yeah. Another question that I ask is, how do you think your previous manager would describe you? So, because usually it's somebody that isn't currently working, right? Otherwise, you can say how your manager describes you,
right?
And they'll often give an answer like, "Oh, I'm very committed. I'm very, do this." But they'll usually highlight something that you can have some insight into how they think their manager perceives them. And remember, this isn't a glorified light. Obviously, they're answering very positively. Like
Right.
my old manager thought I was lazy, right? No, it's going to be some good
Well,
things.
but then you get to highlight their strengths. You get to see what they feel their strengths are,
How you
right?
feel their strengths are. My follow-up question to that is, how would your best friend describe you? And I feel like it's important because a lot of times they'll talk about, oh, I'm funny and witty, or they say something like loyal. I'm loyal to a fault, or different things like that. Sometimes they'll describe themselves exactly how the manager described, like they use the same answer, which is very odd. But anyway, it's very telling. I like that question as well. And then I also ask what they enjoy doing outside of work, just to get kind of an insight as to who they are, what's important to them. Is it family? Is it their hobbies? Is it movies? Is it, I also ask how they like to be managed as an employee.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So they often will respond and talk about how, they want certain instruction a certain way, if they need recorded videos. And then I also ask about, if they're willing to work part US hours, so some overlap into the US work time, because our people are just, normal 9 to 5 office workers. So I need them to touch base with their teammates, usually very late at night for them, or if they prefer, very early in the morning and late afternoon for us. So I always just get that answer out of the way, so I know when we can depend on them schedule wise. So those are really the main questions that I ask.
Is there anything that hasn't worked for you that you want to share? Something you learned from that?
I don't know. We've got it down to such a machine now.
It's a science.
It's like, this is the way we interview. This is how, and they've all just kind of fit into the process. We pay on the 1st and the 15th. We pay via PayPal. We do, you get a work report to your manager every day. And it's just worked extremely well. So I guess the absence of those things has not worked well.
There we go.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a good.
No, it's a perfect theme. It follows the whole rest of the interview. Let's flip it around and make it a little more interesting, right?
Yeah,
well, thank you so much for your time. What is the best way for our viewers to get in touch with you or learn more about your business?
Yeah, so SEOworks.com. Again, you spelled it earlier, but SEOWERKZ.com is where you can find our website. We are a full service internet marketing company, but we specialize in SEO, and that's what we claim to be the best in the world at. And so yeah, that's probably the best way to contact us. But yeah.
If you have any questions for us, or if there's anything we can do for me or for you between now and then, just feel free to let us know.